What are the top 10 best mangas to invest in? That's what we'll be answering in today's video. Today, I was able to collectively get the opinions of card shop owners, rip and shippers, and experienced people in the field, as well as my opinion, and we all have come up with this list together. We are presenting to you the top 10 mangas to invest in. So mangas is that weird thing where as One Piece gets bigger and bigger, yes, the supply of the mangas may be the same, but because there's more people lurking around, it feels like it's rarer, right? So older mangas and the mangas that we currently see now, they're going to be considered relics in the future. In 10, 15, 20 years time, the pop of mangas could be 5,000 or 10,000, and then you'll have these pops where it's like measly 500 or 1,000, and they're going to be rare as anything. So that's what we'll be covering in today's video, and you best believe you'll want to capitalize on the best ones possible. So that's what we'll be talking about in today's video. Now that's enough yapping from me, let's begin. Alright, coming in at number 10 is the reprinted Gear 5 Luffy for $5,000 as a PSA 10. This card is a remake of such an iconic card, right? So this is the thing about this card is we all know the influence OPO5 had, and this is honestly just such a good buy because it's a good chance to get it relatively cheap. Like, I don't recommend buying the Japanese ones. I don't recommend buying mangas raw. If you're going to buy them as a PSA 10, that's your best bet. It'll go up the most and it'll be the easiest to sell when you eventually do. So yeah, the thing is that this card, like OPO5, single-handedly blew up the One Piece TCG. From 01 to 04, One Piece was doing really well, but it really went mainstream on 05. 05 is where everything sold out. It was December of 2023. For anyone who was there, you guys remember the madness. People from Magic the Gathering, people from Yu-Gi-Oh, people from Pokemon, everybody collectively invested in One Piece. Well, okay, not invested in One Piece, but people collectively collected One Piece. They were so hardcore, and for a couple of months, all of One Piece was sold out. All of One Piece you couldn't get. But think about it, it was a different time back then. It was 2023. The stock market wasn't doing that well. Bitcoin wasn't doing that well. A lot of assets weren't really doing that well. You know, it's 2023, so people were still readjusting to the world, and it was a different world back then. So to see One Piece do that successful in such a weird time in our society, it really goes to show you the magnitude of the influence Gear 5 Luffy has. Alright, number 9 is Chopper for $1,900. So this card, this is a thing. First of all, it's Chopper. Chopper's a pretty popular character, so you have that. But here's the thing about Chopper, and this is where it gets kind of interesting, is it's inside of a booster box that's incredibly expensive. It's not a $200 booster box. It's not a $300 booster box. It's one of the most expensive. I think it's like 500 plus. It's around that range. So when you get booster boxes that are so expensive, what generally happens is the supply isn't really going to increase that much, right? Like OP11, OP12, we're going to see the cards inside, we're going to see the pops go up. But when you come to sets like EBO1, the box is really expensive. Chopper's pretty popular of a character. There's only one Chopper manga. It's a pretty safe bet nonetheless. Alrighty, coming in at number 8, which is Gear 4 Luffy as a PSA 10, which is $1,400. This set is from OP11, and this is the cheapest one on the list. It's Luffy, so you got that. It's $1,400, so it is a little bit more affordable, so you also have that as well. This one, I would say you don't have to rush on it as heavily, if I'm being honest. You know, a lot of the older mangas, the pop is either smaller or the boxes are more expensive. This one you do have a little bit more time, but nonetheless it is still a good buy. Alrighty, number 7 is the Shanks from OP01. As a PSA 10, it is $3,300. Now, this card is basically, in a sense, it's like the base set of One Piece, if you will. So it was the first manga, it's Shanks. Shanks is pretty popular. Now, here's the thing, this is where it gets interesting, right? When you look at other TCGs, what is a very popular thing people like to collect? So for Pokemon, it may be every base set card is a PSA 10, or it may be every holo has a PSA 10, or every booster box from Wizards of the Coast. For things like Magic the Gathering, the Power 9, people want to collect every Power 9 card. So the question is, what is it going to be for One Piece? It's pretty obvious, it's going to be every manga. Now, here's the thing. In the future, we may see booster boxes. Once they're finished, 2 years later, the pops for the mangas may be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 PSA 10s. And the reason why is because there's just simply more people in the hobby. So with Shanks, you've got to think. Let's just say, I think that's like, I don't know, let's just say 1,000 PSA 10s. It's probably around that range. I would have to check the number, but it's not going to be a lot. Now, the thing is, think about it. That means that there's only that many Shanks available for there to be complete sets, right? So it's like every single day that goes by, people want to collect every manga, and the older ones will be more and more out of reach in the future. So yeah. All right, coming in at number 6, which is Boa Hancock for $2,000. So Boa Hancock is a pretty popular character. $2,000 isn't horrible. There's only one Boa Hancock manga anyways. So, like Shanks, there's multiple. Luffy, there's plenty. You got other ones like Sabu, there's multiple. When it comes to Boa Hancock, there's only one. So you do have that. It is like, it's definitely good. It's definitely one of those things where it'll be interesting to see where it goes in the future. It'll be interesting to see if they do other Boa Hancocks. I think that's going to be a big dependent thing on the success of sets and also the success of mangas, or as in how many mangas are they going to do, right? So like Zoro. I love Zoro. I really want to get that Zoro manga as a PSA 10. I got it for like $600. Oh, less. I want to say less than like $600 as a PSA 10. The manga Zoro from OPO6. I don't know why I just sold it. It was $1,500, and I was like, man, you know what? I'd rather take the cash. I got it for like $600. It's like $1,500. I mean, I'm not too annoyed over it, man. I made some money. I enjoyed the card for a couple months. I do wish I had the card now. Because then at least I'd be cool. Because now it's like $2,500, and I'm trying to make my entire identity to be cool. So yeah, at least that would definitely help with that. But yeah, anyways, I do have to make another Zoro, but you've got a question like, how is Zoro going to do in the future if they only end up doing like one, or maybe like one every 30 sets, right? So same thing with Boa Hancock. $2,000 card from a fairly old set, I guess. It's still relatively new, but it's definitely getting up there in age. Alrighty, number 5 is the Zoro for $2,600 from OP06. So yeah, it's a pretty similar situation as Boa Hancock, although Zoro is definitely more popular, so you definitely have that. Now, man, once again, I really hope they do. I don't know why they had to make 2 Trafalgar Law mangas. Like, I don't know why they did that, man. Why couldn't, like, if you're gonna make 2 Trafalgar Laws, at least make 2 Zoros. Come on. And also, why did they take so long to make a manga Sanji as well, by the way? But anyways, yeah, it's a very similar situation as Boa Hancock. Now, another thing with Zoro is he is from the Straw Hat crew, which means that, I feel like people would in the future maybe just collect one manga of every character from the Straw Hat crew, or maybe they'd want to invest or collect like the first manga of every character in the Straw Hat crew. That could definitely be something that people do. So Zoro is definitely a good pick in that essence. Alrighty, number 4, which is Sanji for $3,300. So this card is really difficult to pull, and there are barely any of it. There's only 94 PSA 10s. Now, I will say it is a fairly new set, so do take that with a grain of salt. But at the same time, it's really difficult to pull. This is some info I got from this Rip and Shipper. Once again, I've had a bunch of people help me with this list. So it's not just my opinion, it's a bunch of people's opinions. So I got the opinion from card shop owners and Rip and Shippers, so I get a good perspective, right? So I've been told it's pretty difficult to pull compared to other mangas, but also it's the only Sanji card. So you also have that you need to think of. So at the end of the day, only Sanji card, very difficult to pull. I mean, hey, you know what? It definitely does hold a lot of weight. It is, once again, Sanji is in the Straw Hat crew, so you do have that. But also, once again, it is the only Sanji, so it's pretty safe nonetheless. But yeah. Alrighty, now number 3. Now, I know technically this isn't a manga, but the Gold Luffy from OP11, which is $6,000 as a PSA 10. So, once again, I know it's not a gold card, but it is still a really, really solid purchase. It's still a really, really solid investment because it's kind of piggybacking off of the Gear 5 Luffy from OP05. So you've got 4 like Gear 5 Luffys. You've got Gear 5 Luffy, then you got PRB, then you got Silver and Gold. So look, I know technically it's not a manga, but I'm just going to count it. Pretty low pop, pretty difficult to pull, pretty pricey, and it's definitely going to piggyback off of the Gear 5 Luffy. It's definitely a safe bet. The thing about Gear 5 Luffy is, like, it doesn't really get much more popular than that, so it is 100% definitely a good purchase if you can get your hands on one. Alright, and that brings us to number 2, which is the Manga Nami for $1,700 as a PSA 10. It's pretty affordable in my opinion. Like, considering it's the only Nami, the box it comes from is like a $650 box. It's definitely getting up there in price. It's definitely getting expensive, and if I'm being honest with you, I don't know why it's actually not more. Like, it's pretty difficult to obtain. I don't know, maybe the market hasn't really realized it, but hey, Nami, once again, pretty popular character. It's a very similar thing as the other ones, but I just don't know why this one's so cheap. That's why it's so high on the list. Like, only $1,700. That's a pretty good price if I'm being honest with you. It could be because PRB is still a year old. It is still quite new, but at the same time, it is seriously being gatekept by its ridiculously expensive price. So, like, yes, it's new, but it's like, honestly, there's not really a lot more entering the market. It's not economical to really open up PRB01. So, yeah, definitely, there's probably not going to be many more adding to supply considering it's this expensive already. Alrighty, now that brings us to number 1, which is Gear 5 Luffy, which is about $8,000 as a PSA 10. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really need much more of an explanation. This card single-handedly blew up the One Piece TCG. Yes, it was popular. I get it, okay? I'm sure I can already smell the comments from here of people saying like, actually, it was actually already popular to begin with before OPR 5. Okay, but you didn't have the level, you didn't have the magnitude of influence that OPR 5 had. And if you were there, you would really know it was impossible to get your hands on. This was at the time when Magic the Gathering was fire selling their boxes. Pokemon were fire selling their boxes. Everything was in shambles. And somehow this one box turned the tide, man. You don't get that influence from a horse crap set. You don't get that influence from a card that's not popular, from an item that's not popular. You only get it from the best of the best. OPR 5 is getting more and more expensive. This card is getting more and more difficult to obtain, so it is definitely a good purchase at $7,800. So yeah, now if you are shopping on eBay and you plan to grab any of these, make sure you use the affiliate link in the description. I would get a fat payday if you use my affiliate link if you plan to buy any of these. All you need to do is click the link and then search up whichever manga you want to buy. But within 24 hours of clicking the link, I do get a small kickback. So it does help support the channel a bit. Doesn't add any cost to it. So yeah, it definitely does help me. But anyways, that is going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching.